Hey everyone, Sam with Hiner Outdoor Living here. Today we are back with our how-to series to build on our last video. In our last video, we worked on getting that base plan set, starting off with the basics of getting your drawing set to scale and everything. And today we're going to expand on that a little bit and talk about layer management and how we like to do our workflow and kind of how we go about our process from our base plan to our final product. So let's dive into it and see what we can't get done. So with our base plan in there and scaled, we are ready to go. I like to start off with a colored pencil layer, very loose lines, and kind of starting with my red lines to get that space filled out, see what kind of lines are working, what kind of space is going to be required for our different areas, whether it's going to be that bed versus the turf area versus a dry creek or a water feature, whatever amenities that we're going to be adding to the space. Today, let's take a look at the front yard and say that we're just going to do kind of your standard front yard. We're going to have a sod area, some entry plantings, and some nice plantings around that walkway, bringing you up to the front door. So on our first layer here, I'm going to change that from pen and I'm going to call that concept. I like to make sure that anytime I open up a new layer, before I start working on it, I just go ahead and name it. I know that I'm going to get lazy, I'm going to forget, and by the end of the drawing, I'm going to have untitled 37, untitled 38, and so forth. That's the last thing we want. We want to be able to go back through and easily edit any sort of line work that we need to and make any sort of revision. So with that titled concept, we're going to go ahead and select our tool. We'll go ahead and change this to our soft pencil. I'll turn that opacity all the way up to 100. I'm going to leave that at 0 so that I have no resistancy, and whatever I do with my pencil tip is what's going to actually show on the page. Get zoomed in here just to the front yard. That's a little bit thicker of a line than we need, so we'll tone that down. Starting off with that bed space, we could, come from here. Let's turn that down a little more. We could also come from here. And so we're just going to start in this phase of playing with lines. Nothing set in stone. We're going to see what works and what, really starts to look the best. So if I start here and maybe I need a walkway going through there because there's a gate. My bed's probably going to end there. I've got A and B, but does that go with a hard line? Is it a nice curve? We just start to play. This is where we start having some fun, and we're going to try 5 different things, 6 different things, whatever it takes to get to that rendition. With our drawing and scale, we want measure turned on. With measure turned on, we can see how long of a line we're drawing, and we know if it's a 5-foot bed or if we just drew a 10-foot bed. What that does is allow us to, get closer to the scale and the size of our features on the first go. So with that guide being at about 3-4 foot, that's a good space to start coming back in here. I don't like that line. Good news is, doesn't really matter. We can change that up. I'm not worried about deleting lines right now. We're gonna put a bunch down to the page and start feeling out, what kind of shapes we're going for here. From there, now that we've got those lines down, they may not be the prettiest, but that's fine. That's just going to be our base. Let's go ahead and open up a new layer. With that new layer, like I mentioned before, rename it first step. Let's go ahead and call this bed lines. With our bed lines, we're going to go ahead and switch back over to our pen tool. Let's go ahead and switch it to a black. Because now that I've got my base concept line down, I know the kind of shape that I'm going for, and we're just going to make it a really nice smooth line. So let's get that line weight dialed in back some. We're currently set on 100% resistancy. That's going to give us a straight line, but that's not what we're going for here. When I'm doing my bed lines or nice subtle curves, I like about a 40% or so. What that's going to do is start to correct some of my curves, but still allow me to have a lot of control over that. So with that set to 40, on our new layer titled bed lines, we can go in here and get that one single line that we like more and get that on our paper. With that separate, we can turn that off at any time and go straight back to our concept layer, or we can now turn our concept off and we can see the line that we just drew. If I were to have all of these on one layer, let me go ahead and get that set up for you so we can show you why that is a bad idea and we don't want that going on. Turn that back on. With our bed lines selected, I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that object, drag and drop, and now we've got it on the same as the concepts. So now with all those lines jumbled on top of one another, I got to go through and, individually select them and delete them to clear them out. It's not a problem right now when we only have a couple things on the page, but once you get further into your process and you're about 90% of the way done, you're going to have a whole lot going on with that drawing and it's going to get really hard to clean up. So keeping those lines on individual layers, keeping your layer management with all of them named the second that you create it, don't get lazy with it, don't leave them as untitled, is going to be a crucial foundation to keeping your sanity and keeping your drawings clean. All right, guys, so that's going to be today's episode. We really appreciate you guys watching, following along. If there's any content you guys would like to see, drop it in the comments, let us know. We're more than happy to answer those questions so that we can more tailor our videos to you. We're just getting into this how-to series and we're just scratching the surface right now. Stay tuned for more. We're going to build on what we're already showing you, but these first steps in these first videos are going to be crucial. They're building the foundation. They're going to keep your sanity in check. They're going to keep your drawings organized and clean. Don't learn the hard way. I've already done it for you. You don't need to repeat my mistakes. That's why I'm here helping you guys out. So like and subscribe, follow along for more, and we got tons of more content coming, so stay tuned.